How we doing? Doing great. How about them Ducks? Got a dub today. Dante, 21 rebounds? Pretty big, and I think women are up right now, so if that doesn't fire you up, I don't know what does. But obviously, great weekend for our guys. I certainly walked away feeling like we could play a lot better, but was really pleased with our team's response throughout the game. A lot of young guys stepping up and making a big impact. Was great for us to see, and a lot to build off of. So we had a great prep day today. Guys really went in there and attacked what they got to get better at, and obviously playing a special opponent, with a lot of talent on that side of the ball, a team that's got talent on in every phase. So we have to be ready to attack them and play them well, and they obviously do a great job of scoring points. So something we had to be prepared for.
Start here on the right with Zach.
Like you said, you left Saturday thinking there was a lot that you needed to clean up. I'm curious how that doctor's visit went yesterday and kind of how the mentality was for the players today.
Great. These guys come to work, man. They're wired the right way. It's always about hearing the message, not the tone. And I thought our guys did a phenomenal job of identifying exactly what they want to do to get a little bit better. And it's right now, this part of the season, it's about finding something you can get a little bit better at and growing that 1%.
Front left, James.
I had a question on a couple of the calls. One, on the penalty on Jones, was there something that happened outside of camera angle just because they both went to the ground?
We sent it in to see what the interpretation is as well, because we didn't necessarily see it the same way.
Gotcha. And then on the back-to-back plays on Bucky, first where he gets lifted up and there's no call, and second where there's appears to be helmet-to-helmet, though he's not a defenseless player, but nevertheless there is helmet-to-helmet. Did you send those in as well?
No, he's lowering his helmet. The defensive player is lowering theirs. I could see how that could be something that was sent in, but that would have been more ticky-tacky on our part, in my opinion. Obviously it gets lifted up. That happens sometimes in the passion of the game.
To the left, Jared.
Just what have you seen from USC's offense this year? Is there an opponent that you've played this year that kind of reminds you of them?
I don't think we've seen an offense quite like this offense. It's really unique. Obviously, the closest would be, Washington in some ways with the explosive passes. A quarterback can make every single throw. They've got great weapons. They're strong in the offensive front with their O-line. They've got a really good running game. Marshawn's running the ball really, really well. Seems like they get into positive plays really easily, and the shot game is always there. I mean, he extends plays and holds onto the ball longer than anybody in college football, and he can make every throw. So that's dangerous if you're not able to get him down on the ground and not able to cover for a long time. So they present a lot of challenges. I mean, they use the tight end in the passing game. They run the ball well. They're a scheme team, and they do what they do really well. But they're going to bring new wrinkles into each game that you have to be prepared for, and they're one of the harder opponents to prepare for.
In the middle, Max.
Coach, good to see you again. The cinematic recaps have been a huge hit for Oregon this year, and for good reason. As the leader of the team, how do you kind of strike that balance between giving fans that behind-the-scenes look that they haven't really got before and keeping that secret sauce kind of close to the vest, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, I get to see them before they get released, and every once in a while we'll make some edits. But I think it's good for everyone to be able to see the work that our players put in and the preparation that goes into success. And I think it provides a great glimpse of all the work that does go into a 60-minute game. And there's so much more than just obviously those 60 minutes. So our video staff has done an unbelievable job, capturing some great content, and really. The other piece that's fun for me with those is it gets to highlight the great people in our program. Not me, the players, the coaches, the video staff, just everybody that touches our program makes such a great impact. I think it tells a great story, about our team and each week and how each week is unique and different.
Right, middle.
When there's so many elements that make their offense so dangerous, how do you focus on containing that?
You try to take them all away. No, it's hard. You talk about trying to make a team play left-handed. This is a hard team to make play left-handed because they do so many things really, really well. I think you have to be sound when you play these guys. And their quarterback's kind of seen it all and has a lot of experience. So it's hard to pitch something to him that he hasn't really probably prepared for already. So it's about being sound, being smart, being patient. And when you get the opportunity to change up a look or provide and create pressure, you want to be able to do that. But it can't be a feast or famine mentality. You can't expect this guy not to have some success in this game. He's going to have some success. And it's really about how we respond to that success. And it's about the culmination of plays over time.
Here in the middle.
Hi, Coach. Nice to meet you for the first time. obviously addressing the elephant in the room of Caleb Williams. How do you game plan for an athlete as dynamic as that can just kind of work that magic from the quarterback position?
Yeah, fortunate for us, we've played a lot of good quarterbacks this year. But Caleb is certainly a hard one to prepare for. One, because of his ability, as an athlete, he can run. He's got great speed. He's really strong in the lower body. He's a hard guy to get to the ground. But again, the prep is every day. It's the drill work we do. You have to do some particular drills throughout the week to really prep you for the difference of play for him and how he plays. Like I said, the holding the ball for long periods of time and being able to keep his eyes downfield to create explosive plays, that's one of the things that probably makes him most unique. And then the fact that you really can't outrun his arm, right? It doesn't matter how far the receivers are down the field. He's always got the ability to throw it and does a great job of that. So he's a tough one to prepare for.
On the right, Zach.
Really big recruiting opportunity for you this week. Obviously, you're going to have, looks like a lot of visitors out. Obviously, winning the game is step number one. It's the main goal. But how big of an opportunity is this for you guys?
Yeah, it's going to be huge. It's huge for the atmosphere that our fans create. It's huge for how our team performs. Recruiting in these scenarios, you don't get to spend as much time with the recruits as you want because you're spending a lot of time preparing your team. But that will be a big piece of this weekend.
Right next one, the UO hat.
What were some things you saw from the film from Saturday's game that maybe you weren't thinking about right after the game was over on the sideline?
I don't know if there was something that I wasn't thinking about in particular. It's probably a really good question. I just don't know that I can think of. I can't remember exactly what I was thinking about right after the game. I was probably a little pissed off, but I don't remember anything in particular.
Right left, James.
What does their change in defensive coordinator to an unknown play caller? And either way, they're not identifying them, but regardless, I don't believe either one's been a play caller before at this level. So how do you go about trying to prepare for a real unknown in that sense?
Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts that kind of go into that, but Coach Odom's actually called it before when last time Oregon played against Oklahoma in the Alamo Bowl. So I think there'll be a lot of similarities to some of the stuff that they already do. I think that group will probably have some new wrinkles that we potentially haven't seen. But it all comes back to what football's all about, right? Tackling, blocking, right? Breaking tackles, making catches. So all those things are going to hold true. And we have to play to our identity. I hope when people watch this team, especially, really on both sides of the ball, you see an identity. And our identity has to hold true regardless of what scheme we see against us.
All the way in the back, Nick.
Non-USC related question, but you started off talking about basketball. I was just curious, what is your relationship with some of the other coaches? Doesn't have to be just necessarily basketball. And if you've taken any lessons from any of the other coaches.
Yeah, I take a ton of lessons from all of them. Somebody actually asked me last week what makes Oregon so special. And it's funny, the day before I just got off the phone with Coach Altman, and he was just calling just to, hey, congrats so far in the season. Once you know we're cheering for you. I think that is so unique here. Coach Wass sent me a text earlier today, and he's down in the weight room getting his workout in. He's asking me where I'm at and told him I'm working. So there are so many coaches at this university and make this place so special. I think that speaks to the job that Rob Mullins has done as far as creating a culture in our athletic department where all of us want to spend time with each other. I got to see Casey. We went and did our walkthrough because of the rain over at Matthew Knight Arena. And the fact that we get to use that facility, even though we're not on the basketball team, I think that speaks to, the collaboration that exists in our program or at our university. But I have a great relationship with several coaches, and I get excited when I get to spend time around the coaches in our program, whether it's helping Missy out recruiting in softball. Like I want to do anything I can to help the program, and they do the exact same thing for us. I love it when I see coaches from other sports at our practices bouncing ideas off of each other and, ways that we can motivate our players and maximize their ability on the field. But that's something that to me is very unique to Oregon. I haven't experienced that really anywhere else that I've coached. And it's a really special situation here with the coaches that we have here.
Middle left, Jared.
We've seen Justin Jacobs now for 3 games against different offenses. Just how do you think he's progressing through the season, and what are the next steps for him for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I'm really proud of Justin in the way that he's approached everything this season, and he's certainly made a great impact for us. He's proven to be a solid tackler. He's tough to block. I think his size and his athleticism, make him a really special talent on the field, and I'm excited to see him continue to grow.
Middle next.
Coach, one of the things that's made your defense, the Oregon defense, so special this year has been the depth and kind of the leap that took from last year to this year. I realize it's a loaded question, but what goes into really building a truly deep defense in your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with talent acquisition, right? You have to get guys that can play to the level, the standard that you expect, from your team. And, if you have 11 guys that can play the standard, you play 11 guys. Fortunate for us, we've been able to acquire great talent that can play to a higher standard. We've also been able to develop talent and had guys that are willing to develop. So we have a lot of guys that come in here and they work their tail off. And I always like watching a season and seeing the guys that really aren't involved early in the season to become more involved as the season grows, because it tells you that they're getting better as players. But strength in numbers, right? The more you can play at a high level, the better your team's going to be down the stretch, the healthier your team's going to be down the stretch, and the better effort that you'll actually exude on the field.
Back right, Trevor.
You talked about just Caleb's ability to extend plays. How do you get your DBs ready for that challenge of just having to stay in coverage for so long?
Yeah, you just go out there and run routes and tell them to cover for 10 seconds in practice. I mean, you extend plays in practice. You work the same things that'll happen. It's hard to replicate, because stuff's not necessarily done on time, and you have to kind of replicate, untimed downs in situations where the ball can be extended for a long time and create that in practice.
Front right, Zach.
Some other coaches in the conference have expressed some disdain for the 7:30 p.m. kicks. I'm curious what your opinion is on the matter.
I mean, I don't pick it, so let's play. I mean, we've got to play a lot of early games. I'm expecting an elite atmosphere from our fans. They got to maybe start a little bit later in the day and not get too excited before the game starts. But, night games are fun. I always liked Friday Night Lights in high school, so I'm all for it.
Front left, James.
On their receiving core, what makes their group unique, and that is it merely the depth and of talent that they have compared to others, and who would you compare them to, either this season in this league or to past teams that you've played? Yeah,
I think they're probably different than anyone we've played so far this league because of the amount of players that they play. At the position, they have a lot of quality players that can play. At a lot of different positions, and they utilize their personnel well. But there's a lot of receivers that get a lot of snaps. They have tremendous speed in the slot. I think it's also unique how they move their wideouts around. You'll see them line up in the backfield. They'll line up in the C area. The Branch is an elite. I mean, he's an elite returner, and that shows up. But they've got a lot of talent really across the board when it comes to wideout.
Middle left here.
Going off of that, just what are the difficulties of Duce Robinson and covering him as a tight end or a big receiver, more or less?
Yeah, big body, big catch radius. He's a guy that we spent time recruiting coming out of high school. He's a great kid, comes from a phenomenal family. Is obviously having a good year for them and developing and growing there. But, he looks good. He's a good player. He's definitely a red area target that you always have to be aware of with his size. They've found some unique ways to use him.
Middle front, Max.
Coach, you've gotten to coach in a couple rivalry games at Oregon, obviously Washington and Oregon State. USC is a pretty big rivalry, I feel like the fan base would think. What's your understanding of what the Oregon versus USC rivalry kind of means to this fan base and this team?
Yeah, I think every game around here matters, right? And I think certainly this one, especially the amount of time we spend recruiting in California, I think, the battles that exist, just in every sport, between our universities, this is one that obviously means a lot to a lot of people. But I can promise you nobody wants to win this game more than myself and our players. They're working really hard for a great result on Saturday, and obviously it's a really good team that we have to go play.
Front right, Zach.
What's your relationship like with Lincoln Riley? Have you spent much time with him before? Have you spent much time around him, whether it's at camps or talk with him outside of football?
Actually, when I was at Georgia, I was actually recruiting Caleb, and we were both at the field in Gonzaga in D.C., so I got to be around him a little bit there. I've never spent a ton of time with Lincoln. I've seen him obviously at Pac-12 meetings and things like that. He's a guy I have a ton of respect for. Obviously, he's been, had elite offenses for a really long time. My very first Glacier Clinic as a high school coach, he was the wide receivers coach at Texas Tech, and I was coaching wideouts at Park Hill South. And I went and listened to him. I'm certain he doesn't remember me. I've never really told anybody that story, but I took some good notes, so hopefully they pay off on Saturday. We'll see.
Front left, James.
they've been quite vulnerable in run defense, and I'm not going to ask you to point out every reason why, but they do have a player who you're quite familiar with in Belay Alexander in the middle of that, and with as good as Jackson has played, this is probably his toughest individual matchup in that way. What is it about Bear in particular that makes him that kind of challenge, and in spite of the fact that their defense has been vulnerable on the run?
Yeah, Bear's a dominant player. He has elite get off. He has great strength. He's very disruptive. I think you want to know the impact of his play. It's, look at the first half of the Cal game where he didn't get to play, and then watch him come in the next few series when he does come in and the impact that he makes. He's a guy that you have to know where he's at all times, but I think our front loves that challenge of having the opportunity to go against a really quality player and quality opponent.
Middle left, Jared.
We saw Damon David get into the game towards the end against Cal. Just how has he progressed, and what's that, competition look like behind Evan and Steve, and trying to replace what Brian Addison was for the team?
Yeah, he's he's a guy that's gotten better and better each week, and he's unfortunately for him, he's been plagued with some injuries since he's gotten here. So it's great to see him healthy out there. This guy has a wonderful attitude every single day. He comes to work, preps. Gives our team a great look when he has to give us a great look, and when he gets an opportunity to go in and play and compete for us, he's done a good job. So looking for him to continue to grow.
Two more, Max in the middle.
Bucky Irving has been having a great year, and he's fun to watch. We all know about him, but Jordan James has maybe not so quietly been having a tremendous year. What do you think makes him so special? What do people need to know about him that we maybe don't get to see on Saturdays?
Yeah, I think the experience that Jordan has gotten has paid off, over time, and the plan that, our offensive staff had for him coming in and how he's continued to grow. I think he had some big catches out of the backfield. This last game, I know he had a critical third down catch that was really, special, and did exactly what you coach him to do when it comes to, checking out after a pressure, and Bo's getting hit right after he throws it. And Jordan makes a great catch and gets down the field and converts for a first down. But runs tough. He doesn't go down on first contact. He trusts his track, and his reads. He's in a great room. That room is a really connected room, and I think he's done a great job for us.
Last question, James.
You mentioned Zachariah Branch, kind of a two-parter in special teams. How critical is it to avoid kicking to him at all costs in both the punt game and kickoffs, and on kickoffs specifically? What is the thinking and strategy with Grant now that he's up to 3 games, and do you want him to take over kickoffs this week and save the red shirt potentially? Do you look for that for Oregon State? And how do you want to handle that with kickoffs with him going forward?
Yeah, we'll continue to assess that within our program. I think that a common thought always with a guy like Zachariah is don't kick the ball to him at all. And there's some truth and benefit to that, but then there's also something to be said for your coverage units. It's not as easy as people think to say, okay, I'm going to kick it here. Or I'm going to kick it out of bounds, kick it to another side of the field, because sometimes you create more field space for a dynamic returner like Branch. So I think we just have to have a great plan. We have to have elite coverage. He's been really good. There's no secret about it. He's probably the best right now in the nation. And I don't know if there's anybody that's really a close second. So he's one that we have to be aware of and make sure we have great coverage plans for, and do a good job of kicking. And hopefully we avoid the opportunity to punt so we don't have to see him in action.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate it.